Oh, yeah.
You know, looking at the five of us, none of us were born into a world where this much opportunity existed. Our parents and grandparents did not have this opportunity.
No way.
They just didn't.
No.
The internet is like electricity. It's like running water. And I don't think we've understood that. And electricity and running water led to like better quality of life day to day. The internet leads to happiness if you choose to harness it.
Oh, 100%.
It's a big deal.
But it's so hard to teach that you can be happy, right? You can go outside of those extremes that you have put on yourself.
Everybody was taught to go to school and stay within a system.
Or what about a woman? You were taught to be a mom, right? And stay at home. And that's a huge thing that we push back in our small community, because Angela's a mom, I'm not. And I've chosen to run the business and not have kids. She's chosen to be a working mom.
But then I have that, struggle, right?
Yeah, and I think, both of you probably have that struggle. Like, I think everybody has struggle, right?
Yeah.
I think like as soon as you were just saying that, I'm like, oh, that's good. And what I meant, why I said that's good in my head is, I'm a very big believer that if you see anybody in your circumstance succeed in happiness, forget about money, well, then you can too. Yes. Like if there's anybody out there who was born into two parents that were addicted to heroin and were never around, and that person went on to achieve happiness, then every child who sees that person can point to that. I think it's very powerful to be co-founders, one who does have a family and one who doesn't, because your audience then gets to see themselves in one of you. And so I think that's incredible.
So Gary, our big question then is, how do we get that out more? Our sort of story, because I think we struggle every single day with our business.
Content.
But we do a ton of content.
We do. More.
We knew you were going to say that to us.
because it's the actual answer. And even take this, right? You're filming this.
Yes. We brought them with us.
I see that. I see this as, in my mind, in that free deck that I put out, right? The Gary Vee content model. I see today, right now, as 34 pieces of content.
Easily.
There's that's right. That is the answer.
Yeah.
That is easily like that.
I agree. And the fact that you answered so easily, that means you guys are halfway home. Now it's just execution. Yes. And maybe you're doing that too. I don't know. But I can tell you that up until I put out that deck, until I started getting loud about how I do the content, a lot of podcasters, 99% of them see this as one piece of content.
Oh no, it's way more than that.
But you understand?
Yeah. He pushes us over there to do
to
do even more.
And so the answer is more. I mean, it's like, how do you get bigger muscles? You work out more. Yeah. How do you lose more fat? You work out more. How do you get your heart healthier? You do, the answer is more. I was saying something to Brandon, my best friend who runs Wine Library now, who I built Wine Library with, who I've known since I was 14 doing baseball cards. And I said something to him. This is a true story. This happened only a couple hours ago. I was telling him about my ambitions for him as an executive at Wine Library and why I think we can be way more successful next year. And I said to him something pretty powerful that I'd never really articulated. I said, Brandon, the guy that you worked with those 12 years, the one that you admire and think is the best, I currently, in my current form as a businessman, as a person, as a father, a husband, a man, I view that guy that was me only a decade ago. And I referenced the former employee of ours who was like a C-. And it really took him back. And it's actually the truth. I can't believe how much better I am today than I was 10 years ago. And I thought I was the best 10 years ago. You can imagine, one of the things that I'm most proud of is I only give advice I took. Over the last 10 years, I've become better. There's nothing else to say. I've become better.
But how do you become better? Is maybe the main question
One
there.
step at a time.
Yeah, patience.
Your question was very, very basic, right?
Yeah.
Very easy to understand. You said, how do we get our message out more?
Yes.
My answer was more content.
Yeah.
You have a podcast.
We do.
I want you to transcribe this interview into a LinkedIn post. I want you to write a Medium post. I want you to have your own blog on your own website. I want you to take 7 quotes from this interview and put pictures over it. I want you to take 7 clips and put it on Facebook. I want you to put it on YouTube. I want you to put 3 1-minute clips from this on YouTube. I want you to make an infographic of what I'm saying right now of how we're gonna make more content chart. I mean, more.
And how do you find the time? I know you're gonna answer that.
No, you're gonna
but truthfully, because we're already running the business a ton.
I see 2 people here, whether they're working for free or getting paid, you buy time.
Very true.
Yes.
You buy time.
Leveraging.
Time of others.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
You buy time.
Well, that's exactly what we did with them coming
I
with
see
us,
them.
right?
I see them.
Because it's kind of like a dream of them, and Camille loves you, so we brought them along. Because Gary, that is the way we have always done our business.
Yeah.
It's not about us. Number
No.
one, it's
Way-
about who we can bring with us on the journey.
And that becomes a selfless act that is selfish because it makes you happy.
Yeah.
It does.
Right?
Very
It does.
true.
I
Very
understand
true.
it. Me too. Like the 4-minute conversation I had with Jason yesterday, like makes me pumped.
Yeah.
Right? Like getting so close to Seth and seeing him get engaged last week. Like
Congratulations.
That makes me, like to me, I genuinely get happiness from other people getting happy, mainly because I'm pretty emotionally fulfilled.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once you're happy, what? The only logical next step is to make other people happy. There is no more. So I get it, but the answer is you have to make your actions map your ambitions.
Okay.
So I have no idea how big you want to be.
Big.
Great. So then you
I'm the one that
ready?
drives that.
Ready?
Yeah.
So you basically have
I'm
to
happy.
Understood. So you basically have to leave short-term vanity things because if you want to be big, then you have to make sacrifices.
But did you let go of control for that to happen?
100%.
And that's a difficult thing.
If you talk to my team right now, they'll tell you the level of autonomy that I give them creatively and process-wise is
And how
Like,
long did
yeah.
that take you to get to that point?
I've always been basically in that point because that was a natural strength of mine, realizing practically. See, the interesting thing about me that I don't talk a whole lot about is I would argue that I'm disproportionately more practical than I am emotional. And people are confused by that because I'm so high energy and I'm so vibed out that it disguises my level of practicality. I haven't been able to build these 80, $200 million businesses out of charisma. It's been operational. So very quickly, I realized scale came in 98 people doing a 7 of my 10 versus one person doing a 10.
But that's so hard to let go.
It's not really hard if you're fortunate enough to not have ego.
Yeah.
Okay, Gary.
You nailed it.
I mean it. And honestly, it's a fun thing to say, mainly because ego is just insecurity disguised.
Very true.
It is.
That is so true.
And so, but listen, you'll appreciate this. I have empathy. It's, the hardest thing to let go is the image of oneself.
Yeah.
It's one thing if you're letting go how people stock your shelves in a liquor store, which I did, which my dad couldn't.
Yeah.
Or a million other things. I've let go the most valuable thing of all. They are actually 100% in control of my image.
I love it.
I mean, I do not micromanage. It's absurd when you think about the level. Here's why. I believe the truth always wins. So if Seth went rogue, Seth tomorrow could not leave. He could literally record the first 2 minutes of the podcast and be like, hey guys, this is Seth. Let me actually tell you the truth about Gary Vaynerchuk.
I love how he's laughing.
But I would never know. There is no checks and balances. I blindly trust Seth.
Yeah.
Mainly because I know who I actually am. The reason I'm not scared is every mistake is fixable when the truth and good is on your side.
100%.
Yeah.
I totally believe that. We had an incident happen on Friday.
Yeah, and we actually went down a really good place instead of going to
instead
a bad
of freaking
place.
out. Yeah.
Being the bigger person
100. Yeah.
is always the move.
Yeah, and I had to be. I made a huge mistake.
And it's
Great.
constant reminder each day and every moment to be that person.
And I learned from it.
And let me tell you this, the world doesn't get upset at you for the mistake. It gets upset at you for the cover up.
Yes.
And she phoned the client. She
I love
phoned
it.
them and told
Yeah.
them the truth.
I was like, I'm so sorry. And she's like, Angela, I thought honestly something bad was happening. I'm like, I did. I forgot to order your chair. She's like, no, that's not a mistake. She's like, it's not at the end of the world. I'm like, to me, because it was my ego. Because I
100%.
it was my ego.
But you owned the mistake.
I owned the mistake. I 100% owned, and she was okay
and
with
by
it.
the way, not everybody's going to own the mistake. You didn't own it right away, hence why you had to get into that part, right?
Well, I was shocked. I was actually, because I was 100% shocked. I actually I was like, oh my gosh.
I basically live my life expecting to make substantial mistakes on a
Yeah.
daily basis, mainly because humans are flawed. The biggest problem with our society right now is hypocrisy. All we do is deploy judgment on others while we're doing something else that's wrong.
And I think we find as females that we judge each other even more. So when you talk about like being a mom and working or me not having kids, I'm judged all the time and
honestly,
ask why.
you'll appreciate this. I've looked at that issue a little bit out of curiosity.
It's a big issue.
It's a big.
It's a very big issue. And I think it's a proper reaction from women in our society because I, as a white male, come from a place of abundance. I don't think there's limited spots. Women do.
Oh, women really do, because you're always competing for that number one spot.
Or that only spot amongst all the other spots because only one woman can fill it, not 8 guys. And so, you know, I have a lot of empathy to how women got there. Yeah. I'm just hopeful that the next century, it will dissolve over time.
I hope so. I hope I instill that into my daughter that, you know, don't judge other women, you know, just
don't judge anybody, man.
Don't judge anybody.
I'm obsessed right now on judgment.
And be happy.
I'm just so angry. And I don't get angry. I'm angry at people's ability to judge with deep levels of hypocrisy on the back end.
Yeah.
I am sure of the following statement. Every person I've ever seen in society has done things that they're not proud of.
Oh, 100%.
Definitely.
Yeah, I have.
Everybody
I know it
Yeah,
for fact.
everybody does.
Thus,
and if they're lying.
Thus, I don't have the capability of judging somebody else's life. I don't know what's going on in their bedroom, in their house, in their head, in their relationship. I just hate judge. I'm crippled by judgment. I hate it. I want to eliminate it.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
You know, as meditation has become a big thing in our culture, I don't meditate, but I kind of live a very thoughtful, mindful, spiritual, macro, intriguing mindset life. I often say that I live in a cocoon. I go to myself.
You go to
I'm
yourself.
self-soothing. You know, it's funny.
Yeah.
When you asked that question, I literally thought about a cat licking itself. I'm not kidding.
That's what pops into your head.
I've never used this analogy ever. I know my team has never heard this. And I think you're going to find this really funny. This is true. I don't know why cats lick them. I guess that's how they bathe themselves.
They clean themselves.
Yeah.
They clean themselves, yeah.
I would tell you that I do a mental version of that. I am within myself. I am not in need of an outside or other force to navigate what's going on in my life. I've also never experienced the death of somebody disproportionately close to me because I lost all my grandparents except for one and didn't have a very large family. So here I am at 43 years old and not losing my parents, siblings, children, spouse. So, you know, I'm maybe gonna need it then. The only thing I really do care about is those 11, 12, 13 people. Like, I wish people actually knew how real that is to me. I think people say it and they're not truthful.
Yeah.
I think people say, all I care about is my family, but then I watch their actions and it's not true. I don't go to anybody. I go to myself.
That's amazing.
I do.
That's
I go
awesome.
to myself in my sleep, in my showers, in my flights, in those moments where I have a second to myself where I'm not working every second. I go to myself.
That's amazing. I'm jealous.
And honestly, a lot of what I'm trying to put into the world is trying to get people into that. Lately, I've been doing, you know, at a keynote recently, I've been doing this kind of like, I've only done this shtick now a couple times where I put my fingers in my ears. I'm like, my happiness comes from this.
Your inner voice.
You know, I can't hear anybody. You know, when you can't hear anybody for real, and I want to really go here right now.
You don't even hear your wife in your ear?
I do not hear my wife.
Come on, Gary.
I don't. and it's funny, you went there, and that's where I was about to go. In its truth, in its purest form, when you don't hear your spouse or your parents or your children, that's it. That's why I am who I am. I don't hear it.
That's a really tough place to get to.
It's,
Because it feels like everybody always wants something from you. So you're
being
basically
told.
like...
And especially you're probably pulled in like a million different directions.
Guys, I mean, I think I have a unique life for a reason. I really do know that.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Like, I do know that. Like, I don't have this admiration or success or notoriety or the thing that's happening with me is the byproduct of who I am. Couple things, back to ego, insecurity, confidence, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think I did that. I think Gary Vee is the byproduct of Tamara and Sasha Vaynerchuk, the byproduct of capitalism in America, like the byproduct of a kid who was born with nothing and had to earn his keep. So like,
that's true.
So like when people like, when this nice feelings that I'm getting from you guys come, you'd be so surprised how much that doesn't go to me. which keeps me disproportionately grounded.
So that's how you don't have an ego.
That's exactly right.
Exactly.
You know, and it's like, I have confidence.
Yeah,
because
you definitely have a lot of confidence.
Tons.
Yeah.
But I have such disproportionate amounts of humility because I'm aware of the truth, which is I had less to do with this. I think people are confused that they're the byproduct of much more than they are. I think their children, their businesses, like my pride in my children and definitely my businesses will be very high because that's me architecting.
Yeah.
My community I'm very proud of. The positivity and positivity with non-delusion is very difficult to create. I don't want to be the secret. You know, I don't even want to be, you know, Tony Robbins or Oprah. I've got a different kind of slight gear to it, which comes with a level of practicality